Okay, hi everybody. First segment of Q&A. The first spot I ever worked at was a company called Osiris Skate Shoes and Apparel, a dope company located here in San Diego. Shout out Brian Reed and Ricoy Creative. The first line that I ever designed looked something like this. And at the time, I was somewhere around 20 years old, because it kind of cut me off from college. But I would say that I had a non-conventional path to kind of getting there. I would have to try to do research on what the job actually entailed, because I wanted to prepare a portfolio towards it. But again, it was such a young industry that I would find these people that were working at companies that I would love to work at, and I would find the designer, I would get their numbers. And this is way before internet, as it is now. I mean, I think kids that want to, if you're looking to get a job in design or merchandising or even buying or whatever it is, like, you have so much opportunity to, one, connect with people, number two, really kind of see, what it is they're doing on a day-to-day. I had to call these people on the telephone and try to figure out what that was like. In any case, I did two things. One, I kept my portfolio with me at all times. It was in my car. Number two, I actually started a t-shirt line, not to have a line that I wanted to blow up, or at the time I knew I didn't know enough, to run that business. But I used it strictly for a portfolio purpose. Also, I did it as a side gig. I mean, I was still young, but I was working with a lot of like middle school kids and high school kids, and so they would buy these shirts, and the line was called Five, PHIVE. Doesn't really have a meaning. I just threw a name on it because it was just a portfolio piece. And so I would come out with shirts, and kids would buy them, and I would keep copies of shirts because I knew in streetwear they would really appreciate that. When I came to the Osiris office, I was actually just going to have lunch with Persuade, but Persuade was the art director, really well-known graffiti artist, Brian Reed, who met with me and was I think was the vice president at the time. He's one of the founders of Osiris. I showed him my portfolio, but out of everything, he was most impressed with the t-shirt line that I was hustling. I remember vividly, I was describing, my concept boards and storyboards. He just kept staring at the t-shirt line that I was hustling, and I was pretty meticulous. Like, I packaged each shirt with like a poly bag and a hang tag, and then the hang tags had different graphics. He just kind of stepped back and said, wow, that kind of takes a lot of hustle to just do your own t-shirt line. And it was like a 5-minute meeting. He had to go to lunch, and before he left, he said, as far as I'm concerned, the kid is hired. Once he left the room, I looked at Persuade and I was like, what just happened? Again, a very unconventional meeting. But I do believe whatever office or brand that I would eventually come to, I am pretty sure I would have gotten hired, whether it was that meeting or if it was a meeting that happened a year from there. I mean, I was really, really, really focused on just becoming a designer and working for a company. So that was really how everything started for me. And I was thrown into the fire. I wasn't an intern or wasn't an assistant designer. My business card said apparel designer, and so there's a tremendous amount of weight, even though the clothing in this company was an accessory to the shoes. The footwear is really what the company is known for. So at the same time, it was a good place for me to cut my teeth, and it was a great experience. That's how it happened for me. How it's going to happen for you, it's going to be obviously very different. Pieces of advice is, I had my portfolio ready and updated at all times. I definitely would practice, the interviews and questions, and, I would have people, I would go through mock interviews. That's really important at any point. This is no matter what job you're going to take. You're going to sit down with a person and have to, in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, have to leave an impact on them of what you're all about. And so I think people overlook this, but practice your interview. Practice your interview for anything. I don't care what it is. One other point, do your homework on the company before you get there, when I do an interview on FNN, I mean, first of all, I just don't want to be rude. You know, if I'm interviewing the talent, I want to make sure that they feel like I'm a fan of their work, and otherwise I wouldn't do the interview. So when someone is coming to interview you, I think it's even more important that you can, if you bring up a little jewel of information that you had to dig for me, and I've definitely been in meetings for hiring, that's going to impress me. I'm going to remember that. It's a specialized, I mean, this is like a career job. So, the people who you meet via the interview, it's a small industry. You will meet them again. So leave a good impression on them. I hunted for the opportunity because, honestly, up until that point, I wasn't going to breathe until I had my first legitimate job as a designer. And I was like 20 years old. But little things like that will separate you from the group in people's minds, and that counts for something over time. So hope that helps. That's how I started. If you have any other questions for Q&A, please Facebook me or tweet me the question. I love you all. Bye.